With all this controversy right now with, all with the WWE, Vince McMahon stepping down as the executive chairman of WWE, with Janelle Grant, the NDA, the lawsuit, all that stuff. You had Ryback, former WWE talent Ryback, who's had his own problems, with WWE, and seemed to be very, I don't really say bitter was the right word, but he was very outspoken when it came to WWE and how on the way he felt he was treated there, and also the way he felt, how the other talent was treated pretty poorly there as well in his mind. But with Ryback, he was battling, had a legal battle with WWE for years, and last May, Ryback beat WWE in the legal battle for the rights to his name and for other intellectual property, for trademarks that he can now use. It's his rights to that, not WWE's anymore. And that's quite significant for him to do that. I mean, not many people beat WWE. Very few people, Jesse Ventura, Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, very few people are able to beat WWE. So hats off to Ryback for that. What I found very interesting about it was a tweet that Ryback had, I think it was last week or something. Ryback's been saying, he's claiming that WWE have intentionally been going out of their way to suppress his social media accounts. So when it comes to like his Twitter page, his TikTok account, even I think it was YouTube as well, he's claiming that they've been suppressing, views, impressions, likes, followers, all that stuff. Ryback, he was quite a few years back, just after he left WWE, he did I think it was like a podcast he had with this guy Pat Buck, who's now a producer. I believe he's either now at WWE or he's with AEW. I can't remember which one, but he's talking about John Cena, and he doesn't have particularly many pleasant things to say about John Cena. And a lot of this stuff, a lot of it on the video, it relates to beef, that a problem that John Cena had with Alex Riley. And with this, I will pause at certain points and give you my reaction. But listen to this, Ryback's take on Cena and how Cena was with Alex Riley. So here we go.
John's blocked on my Twitter. I blocked him. He is legit. I blocked him a long time. He's been a piece of shit to me from day one, and people like. The guy, I was nothing but nice and respectful to him. And I know Alex Riley just came out and did
that just came out today.
When people hear what really happened with that, they're going to lose their shit. And I know I have a pretty good idea what happened with that and the guys in WWE. And it's fucking hilarious. It's hilarious because what.
So that, first off, that people, when they find out what happened there with Alex Riley and John Cena, they're going to lose their shit. So what I get from this is, unless this is just Ryback, really exaggerating here, is that there's something really outrageous and shocking that happened. Ryback was saying in his tweet also, I forgot to mention this, he was saying something about, Triple H should be concerned about his own NDAs, and that Alex Riley deserves justice as well. That's what he said when it comes to the stuff with John Cena. So I feel that there's something there. There's something out there that we haven't been told about this whole situation. And I just wonder, will it ever come to light what really happened there with Riley and Cena?
People will find out about John and whatever, but it's just, he's done. So he used to shit talk me when I was in the ring. I remember working against Mark Henry. You got to remember, I came up with all these guys in developmental. So, I know everyone that's sitting backstage.
Who would shit talk, Alex or John?
No, John. No, okay. John. I used to be back there for John when Riley was in the ring, when they were fucking with him because John was hot at him.
Yeah.
Because of what happened with all this. And it's not my place to discuss that.
No, let him take that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. But John would sit back there and bury Riley in front of everybody for no reason. And Alex Riley is fucking money. He was money from day one.
It's mind-blowing. You got a guy with the right look, the right attitude. I know he wasn't...
Bust his ass. He had awesome theme music, worked his ass off, went out there and got a reaction from the people.
Yep.
And because of John Cena and people, I swear to fucking God, because of John Cena, his career is over in the WWE for no fucking reason.
Yeah, one thing with Riley, I mean, Riley had the it factor. Alex Riley, started out was doing that NXT show, that silly show. So he was like the whole thing about the Miz, his apprentice. That was the whole thing, and I thought he did a good job there with that with the Miz, and then eventually, Alex Riley, Miz fired Riley, and then kind of shoved him away, and then Riley then started just beating the hell out of him, really beat the shit out of him, and I thought it was like a good segment because initially they were kind of like cheating Miz, and then they went from cheating the Miz to chanting Riley, and I thought that was a star was made at that point, but WWE just didn't know. I guess they just didn't know how to capitalize on it. But Riley had the it factor. He had a great look, could cut a promo. Just he'd be a good guy, a good representation of your company. Not that John Cena isn't, but Riley would have been able to fit into that spot perfectly. Just like seems like a guy again, good demeanor about him. And you notice it's all this stuff about people that John Cena had an issue with. They all seem to be like good guys, like laid back, sound guys. It was like, I don't know. I mean, you had guys. It was like the Tyler Reks. You had, was it Michael Tarver? You had the guy Kenny from the Spirit Squad. All guys that had potential, but for whatever reason, Cena was he was a dick to them. But
outside of because of John and his personal issues.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
And you said it too. I think this goes hand in hand because the dirt sheets picked this up, about a conversation that you had with Hunter, basically saying that they don't plan on having any marquee names. And I think a lot of that comes from, not that I'm a big fan of the way, I really like SmackDown. I think it's a really great show. Raw, I really legit can't watch anymore. But the fact that there really is no full-time superstars or marquee names, and they got to rely on these quote part-time guys to come back and fill the void and give them all the top spots on pay-per-views and major shows. But do you think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Cena just had so much fucking control and power that it ultimately affected business for so long?
Yeah, he's been poison to the wrestling industry, and I told you this. We've talked about this before, and again, this is my opinion, but you know what? I think I'm pretty accurate on this. I think he did so much harm for so long to new talent to breaking out up there, and I have my experiences, and other talents up there have their experiences. That I think Hunter had to finally say, what the fuck do I need to do? And I think he just started, with the NXT thing and bringing up these NXT guys and protecting the fuck out of them.
Yeah.
And there's so many guys now. John can't just fucking pick his battle with one guy because there's 9 other guys hot on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's been surpassed now. And if that is what Hunter is brilliant, if that's what he did to do that to fucking get rid of the Cena problem, because
yeah, that's an interesting take there. So what he's saying is that I think, back in 2010, I mean, you had the Nexus, but then some would say that, Cena was responsible for holding them down. He could have put them over at SummerSlam in the big, was it 5-on-5 elimination match? He didn't. Ryback was part of that group at the time. He was known as Skip Sheffield, though. But also you had the Shield. They came in, 3 guys that all became big stars, big main event stars. Roman Reigns, you could say, became the new John Cena. So I suppose if he's maybe referring to the Shield, those are 3 guys came up all at the same time in a group, and then Cena put them over. I mean, he did. I think he put them over like a 6-man tag once, but he still put them over. He wasn't able to squash them and have them under his thumb. So that's some interesting points of what Ryback's saying. But it's true. I mean, Riley had it, and Cena. Let's just face it. Cena saw him as a threat. I think when it comes to like people will say, oh well, Cena put over Kevin Owens, Cena put over AJ Styles, but those are people that aren't threats. You know what I mean? Like, he knows that, Kevin Owens and AJ Styles are over a certain demographic. I'm talking about the nerdy teenage young men, the internet smart fans. That's who they had over with. But Riley would have got over with the same crowd that Cena got over with. The young casual fans, the kids, the women. That's who Riley would have got over with. So Cena he had no problem putting over Kevin Owens and Kevin Owens kicking out of a top rope AA and AJ Styles kicking out of 3 or 4 AAs. I can't remember, but that they weren't threats, but Alex Riley was a threat. That's how I see it anyway. But also there's other stuff out there about, the whole thing, what happened there at Cena and Riley. I mean, is there something going on there that, was an NDA signed? Is that why Alex Riley, he's always said that, I don't want to talk about it at this time, another time. He's said stuff like that in the past. But I just don't feel, he has referred to it and talked about it a bit in interviews before, but I still feel there's something else we're not being told there about what really, really happened there. But with this, there's maybe a couple of theories out there. From looking at some stuff, and okay, Reddit's maybe not the most reliable source. Okay, I get that, but there was a Reddit thread going back 4 years ago, and someone here, and I don't know if they're really an insider or what, but this is what they said. They said Cena saw a lot in Riley, so wanted to get to know him better. Riley was invited to Cena's bus during a loop to have some beers and use the drive to hang out. Riley declined because he doesn't drink. Cena took offense to that because he felt as if he offers his bus and drinks to someone, they need to take him up on it. Riley meant no disrespect, but the damage was done. But this also person claims that from a superstar during that time that he was friends with, Swagger's push, the original one, was axed by Cena because Swagger fell asleep backstage at a live event, and Cena felt someone in Swagger's position needed to be awake, alert, and watching every match to learn. And let's be honest, in that case, has Cena got a point there? I would say so, yes. But the whole stuff Alex Riley, I don't think that's entirely true, because what I heard was that it was actually Cena pressuring Riley into going on his tour bus and pressuring him into, having a copious amount of alcohol. That's what I heard. And this whole thing about Riley not drinking, well, then it was around late 2010. I remember I think it was just days after Miz beat Orton for the title in Raw. So Riley was out there. He was out there ringside. Riley got arrested, and it was a DUI. So to go from a guy who supposedly doesn't drink alcohol to having a DUI, that's quite a big leap, don't you think? So I don't know if this supposedly whole thing about Cena inviting Riley on his bus happened after the DUI. Maybe. And maybe Cena took advantage of somebody that was a vulnerable guy that was maybe had alcohol issues before. I don't know. Either way, though, it's not a good look. But I suppose it was different times, I mean, Cena, we hear the story that Cena didn't drink alcohol, but then Ric Flair was the guy that corrupted Cena and got him into drinking alcohol and buying all the boys beers and booze on the tours, especially when they do the big overseas tours. But I don't know if this looks like a good look, because the story, again, and the story was that it was Tyler Reks that said that it was Cena inviting Riley onto his tour bus and kind of like pressuring him into drinking alcohol. And it was getting to a point where Riley, I think, confided in him and said he couldn't take it. He was really struggling, So what the hell was going on there, I mean, is this just two guys, two dudes, two alpha males just having a good time, having a laugh? But it's to me, it's almost like, well, maybe, one guy was drinking quite a lot, too much, and the other, Cena, maybe wasn't drinking all that much. That could be the case. I mean, Warrior told a story one time about how Hulk Hogan, was fearful of our talent getting over, but hated confrontation, But what he did, though, was that he accused Hogan of assisting other guys and keeping them junkies just so he could have control over them. So I wonder, is it possible that Cena did he pressure Riley into drinking a shitload of alcohol in order to have control over Riley? A keep your enemies close type of thing. Maybe, I mean, this is a guy that had a DUI, late 2010, and then we hear a story about Cena. Oh, hey, I want you to come on my bus. Let's drink alcohol. Let's have a lot of, But then we hear all these stories, and there's multiple stories out there, well documented, that Cena bullied Riley and treated Alex Riley like shit. So how do you go from being boys with somebody to the point where you're inviting them on your tour bus to drink, to then going from hating their guts and making their life a living hell? How does that work? Again, to me, just thinking logically, in my mind, that's holding an enemy of yours close. That's what that is. There's other stuff there with this stuff here. So this was the guy. His real name's Gabe Tupple. He's now a transgender. I believe it's Gabby Tough now. But the guy that was the character Tyler Reks did a Ask Me Anything on Reddit one time, and people were asking him about the whole thing. Was there heat there with Cena and Riley, because he had his own problems with John Cena, and John Cena, laying into him in front of all the guys backstage one time because he had a finishing move very similar to the Cena's finisher, the AA, and threatening him to get him fired. Who the hell is Cena to threaten to get somebody fired? He doesn't own the company. But he says, that there wasn't, what happened though, that there was some unreasonable, unknown heat between Riley and Cena, to the point where everyone on the roster thought that Cena was treating him in a way that was totally uncalled for. I'm sure, well, maybe they thought that, but was anybody in position to stand up to Cena and say something, have Riley's back? No. But it is what it is. But he continues, so no one approached Cena about it, but the entire locker room was on Riley's side. A lot of condolences, a lot of ridiculous bro, and it was every freaking day. Cena thought Riley did something wrong every single day. So this sounds kind of like bullying to me. This sounds like bullying. I'm just looking for somebody's a weakness of theirs and a mistake and pouncing on them for it. And it carries on. So it's completely against the wrestler code to go through another wrestler's back. One day, Riley walked into an empty locker room and Cena was just going through his bag. He found some pre-workout vitamins and bitched him out for taking supplements, asking if he thinks this is okay, like he was looking for a reason to get him fired. So it's like, gee, it's like, I mean, this is a guy, Cena, that was like a pro bodybuilder at one point, right? I mean, or I guess not far off being one, right? Back when he was in California. I mean, you're meaning to tell me that Cena, well, certainly would have been taking supplements and probably still does, but he's never taken steroids, Cena gave a very kind of questionable answer when an interviewer asked him, did he take steroids? And this was around the time just after the whole Binlaw tragedy. But you got Cena violating another guy there, you're violating another human being there. Who the hell are you? That's not your position to go through another person's personal property, their personal belongings. That is not cool. That's not acceptable. And so it goes on here. So they had the match, and this was when Linda McMahon was running for Congress. It was a tag match. It was a 6-man tag match. He said it was himself, Hawkins, Ziggler, and Riley, and 2 other babyfaces. Cena had made it clear that he wanted Riley to act a certain way and do certain things. And we structured the entire match to his wishes, and it went flawlessly as we were concerned. The second we walked backstage, he came up to me and said, "Hey, where's Numbnuts?" And he sees the look on my face and tells me to go get Riley. So all 6 of us came back, and he bitched out Riley in front of the backstage roster about how he was always tells him to do one thing and he does another, and Cena was washing his hands of helping him. Even Ziggler was like, "What the hell, man?" So it sounds like he was very much just throwing his weight around, booing him, wanting to hold him down because he saw him as a threat. That's how I see it. 3 sides to every story, but I don't think we would ever fully hear John Cena's side of the story. I don't think anyone has the balls to ask John Cena this question. I've never heard him being asked questions, and he does interviews with quite the bigger guys that have a name. What's the boy, his name, Chris, that's popular guy, is Chris Van Vliet, Sam Roberts, but I've never heard them ask Cena about Alex Riley. Is there a particular reason for that? Because they know what's up. They're on the internet, they know all the news and all the gossip. So you had Tyler Reks had his problems with John Cena, but it could be possible that Alex Riley had his problems with Cena as well. And there's maybe a lot more to this story. And with that, from the tweet that Ryback sent, put out a week or so ago, is there an NDA there with John Cena and Alex Riley? Is that why all this time, Riley's been quite vague when he does these interviews and he gets asked about what happened? And then he does say, oh, well, yeah, there's a kind of a problem, but it was what it was. And, I respect John. I have a lot of respect for him and stuff like that. It's quite vague, and it doesn't really get into the specific detail of what exactly happened. People try to say, oh, well, Cena ribbed him and Riley stood up to him. But let's get to the real thing of it. It was Riley, no one else is there. He goes in the locker room. Cena's rumbling about, look, just take a shit out of his bag. And he gets right up in Cena's face and he's like, hey, what the fuck, man? That would be that's how you would react naturally, right? If you saw somebody there with your bag, taking stuff out your bag. Like, so the whole thing, what this was a rib of, Cena was just doing it as a joke, right? No, come on, that's not a joke. You don't do that. But there's stuff back then, this is a lot of the shit that people would pull, because there was a bit of a culture with bullying. I mean, even a few years prior, when JBL was around, it was quite bad. Maybe this was gradually getting into a time where it was not becoming as bad with the locker room bullshit, but that's just not on, There is a side of Cena that's real, very much a dick. He can come off quite fake and condescending in a way when he does interviews. There is a side of him that I see, well, look, man, you've worked very hard to be in the position that you're in, to achieve what you've achieved. There's maybe a side of you that's good, but then there's another side of him that's just not good or decent at all, in my mind. You had Arn Anderson that said something, and this is talking about this whole thing about Alex Riley. He said that with the whole thing with Riley and Cena was that he seemed to gel well when they put him with The Miz, but there's a famous story that he was offered some help from John Cena and seemed less than enthused or interested, which would have immediately made its way back to the locker room and to the office. Now, famous story, Arn, it's like, this, I've never heard this story, and I look at stuff like, I'll look at the website, the wrestling news websites. I'm sure this story to me would have stood out, but I'm not like a Meltzer subscriber, but you get everything that Meltzer will put up on that newsletter thing later on the free websites, but I've never heard this so quote unquote famous story, you know what I mean? But I think this is just Arn Anderson doing the right, in his mind it's protecting the guy that was the top guy in the company he worked for so many years. I think that's just Arn's doing. Arn's just kind of like telling the story in a way where it's more in Cena's favor. It puts him in a better light, But I don't particularly believe that that's the case. And even if it was something where Cena was maybe supposedly giving him advice, you had veterans back in the day that fucking told Ultimate Warrior to not shake the ropes. Imagine if you listened to them. Sometimes people giving you advice is just people encroaching on you and wanting to fuck with you. Sometimes that's what that is. But then Riley says some other stuff here, saying that on this that I guess I'm not saying anything that other people haven't already kind of said. It's kind of out there, but I'll say this: there was an incident, and it certainly affected the path of my career. However, I'm not going to talk about it right now, and I've kind of gone back and forth in my own times morally with do I say anything or do I not? I am not in the habit of destroying anybody's career, so it is just something at this point that I don't want to address further than that, but one day I certainly will. It was a hard situation to deal with. So remember this part here. I am not in the habit of destroying anybody's career. So this, if something real bad that happened that Cena did to him, and this came out, so this could potentially destroy his career, his livelihood. I mean, he's not really a top guy, and it's not like he's really a wrestler in WWE anymore, but a big actor in Hollywood. So it's like, what exactly went on there, And saying it was a hard situation to deal with. Yeah, I feel like this he's really been through something. And I just wonder, will we ever find out? And like I would say, I feel like, he seems like one of the good guys. He had something to him. People wanted to get behind him. And I think it got a big reaction when the whole thing with, turning face, but they just didn't capitalize on it. But then it maybe was just more than that. People could say, well, Riley didn't Riley didn't meet them halfway, but then I think at the same time, let's face it, and I think Ryback touched on it on when he was talking about it, that Cena really went out of his way to fuck Alex Riley over. He really did, and I hope that the truth gets out there, because the truth, justice, karma. And it would be good to when you talk about everybody's favourites and all the people that they put John Cena up on this pedestal, and Cena's, he's the guy, he's always doing Make-A-Wish things, and I remember that whole thing when it came out about Cena having the affair that time, Married Man, it was with Mickey James, and then days later Cena's doing a Make-A-Wish live in it was in Times Square. It was like a record-setting Make-A-Wish that he did. So a lot of that is just PR optics. They know what they'll do to protect their top guy, and they were quick to act on that when all that stuff came out. But Cena fucked over a lot of people. I mean, Cena fucked over Riley, he fucked over Ken Doane, he fucked over Michael Tarver, he fucked over Ken Kennedy. Cena's screwed over a lot of good people, and it'd be interesting to see that, well, will there be some justice there? Like what Ryback put in his tweet, will there be some justice there for Alex Riley? Because it seems from what I see that, he deserves it. But those are my thoughts on all that, guys. So, feel free to subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think about this. But yeah, that's me for now, though. So thanks a lot, guys. Cheers.